Thank you, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today. I first want to start out by saying that I came to Congress as a teacher. I taught at a public high school for 15 years. Children are not aliens, illegal or otherwise, under any circumstances. And while I recognize that border security is a top priority of the American people, my Democratic colleagues and I realize that something needs to be done on this issue. So much so, in fact, that Senate Democrats brought 2 border security bills negotiated in good faith with Republicans to the Senate floor, and both have failed. So we need to address this problem. My challenge is that even though I realize this is an important issue, immigration is not within the jurisdiction of this committee. So I question the intention of this hearing. Under current U.S. law, all children in the United States have the right to a public education. That's the law. In June of 1982, which was not during the Biden administration, you can check that, the Supreme Court issued a ruling in Plyler versus Doe, a 5-4 decision holding that states cannot constitutionally deny students a free public education based on their immigration status. That was the Supreme Court in 1982. So the premise of this hearing is fundamentally misguided because undocumented children have the right to a public education in the United States of America. As a teacher, I never asked my students what their immigration status was because it didn't matter. What mattered is that students have access to things like textbooks, computers, school resources, school lunches, all of the things that are necessary to close learning gaps. A recent study of the Annenberg Institute at Brown University found that there's an estimated 55,000 vacant full-time teaching positions in the United States. Approximately 1,200 of those vacant positions are in Connecticut during the 22-23 school year. According to Teacher Shortage Area Database at the U.S. Department of Education, 33 states and the District of Columbia reported statewide ESL teacher or specialist consultation shortages, specialists or consultant shortages in the 21-22 school year. So there is a shortage. We know that. We also know that the current presumptive Republican nominee for president has said that he would eliminate the Department of Education. So are we truly trying to address this problem? What you are describing from the panel today is not the totality of the immigrant experience. I've worked in a school. I've been in an ESL classroom. Students are not slowing down the process. Translators are not impeding learning. That is what our country is about. We hear so often people on this committee quote our founding fathers. What you may not know is that John Adams proposed that English be made the official language of this country at the Continental Congress, and it was deemed both undemocratic and a threat to our individual liberties because we are a country of immigrants with people from all over the world. So this was the fabric of our nation and our founding fathers. And children have a right to an education, and schools, we make accommodations as schools, as teachers, you know, the IDEA, investing in things like that. But the last thing that I want to address before I turn it over and ask the one question that I'm going to ask, the last thing I want to address is that this idea that immigrant students are a hindrance on public education, I would challenge you to look across the country at your valedictorians, your salutatorians, your top 10 in any high school class, and you're going to find a first-generation immigrant. You're going to find students who, as soon as they overcame the language barrier, showed that their lack of English proficiency was not a measure of intelligence. So in a country that accepts immigrant children, houses immigrant children, has migrant children waiting for their status to be reviewed, what do you propose we do with these children? Not educate them? Any of you, please.
I don't think that anyone's stating that or refuting the fact that it is mandated by federal law to educate, but I think that it is an acknowledgement. There has to be an acknowledgement, particularly in the minority communities like my own, Hispanic communities and Black communities that are impacted the most.
I worked in a Title I public school district for 15 years, so I know exactly who you're talking about.
Right, so I think that that's important to recognize as well. We talk about the need for, I think the word is investing in the students and migrant children. What about investing in American children? That should be a priority.
It's not one or the other, is what I would encourage you to allow yourself to begin to understand. With that, I yield back.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the great